Hey guys, welcome to another video. MK Customs again. Kind of a little bit of a different type of video right now, but if you find this video helpful or encouraging, that you would share it and pass it on to other people. But I'm just going to start it off with a little story. This past weekend on Saturday, my grandpa and I were going to get a truck, and him and my daughter and I had stopped at a restaurant for breakfast. And as we were sitting there eating, I had overheard a conversation, just couldn't really help it. It was pretty loud. And this young lady, probably in her 20s, was talking about how she was scared to die and just the fear of the unknown. And she mentioned, I always hope that I'll go to heaven and things, but there's just so much that I don't know, and I'm scared to die. Like, she was talking about how terrified she was of this death. Now, like I said, it was in a restaurant. She was a hostess there. She was seating people, busy, so it wasn't a great time for like an actual face-to-face interaction. But it was a prime opportunity to give out something like a gospel tract. However, when I went to look in my wallet, I didn't have any left. And usually I keep a little bit of supply there in case you meet somebody, or, I try to keep some in the console of the vehicle too. But we're driving a different rig, and I did not have any gospel tracts to give out to this young lady. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, Lord, I really blew it. Like, if there's something that I need to do here, just help me to understand what that is. So as we sat there and ate breakfast, I was kind of just thinking about this a little bit. Probably 10 minutes later, I look up and I see two people from my church, and they were walking in the restaurant there to have breakfast just like we were. And I, waved to them on their way in, and just thought, man, I bet that one of them would have a tract, kind of the type of people that I was confident would. And I thought to myself, boy, that's interesting. So I got up a little later and went and asked them, like, hey, do either one of you guys have a tract? And made some small talk. And it kind of hit me a little bit later how incredible it was, this meeting. For one thing, I know where they live in relation to this place, and it wasn't in a small town where this was the only restaurant to eat at. It was about an hour drive for them, about 45 minutes for us. They were going to visit one of their kids. We were on our way to find my grandpa a vehicle to purchase, and ironically, we meet in this restaurant. So the tract that they gave me says this. I don't know, it might be backwards, but what it says is, do you know that if you die right now that you would go to heaven? Are you sure? Answering her question exactly. Now, this is one of the tracts that our church gives out frequently, and I try to keep some of these. They're a decent size for wallet use. They do fit in my folding wallet all right, but this is the tract they gave me. This is the one they had. And I just thought, only God could orchestrate me hearing this conversation. It's this couple meeting us in the same restaurant on the same day, in the same town, and just there's so many moving parts that it would have been hard to orchestrate that if you planned it. But this young lady, I was going to pay the bill and on my way out, and I caught her on the way out the door, and I said, hey, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation earlier. I said, here's this tract. Read it, and I hope it helps you answer that question. She was busy doing some paperwork, so I kind of left it at that, but she seemed like she was a little embarrassed, and I wasn't trying to embarrass her in any way, but she's like, oh, you heard that? And I said, yeah, I heard it. But, I pray for her and other people that have that fear that they don't know. This just kind of hit me as a lesson, because I should have been prepared. I should have had the gospel tract there ready to give out, but I didn't, and God was gracious in that. But in 2 Timothy, we're told to be prepared in season and out of season to preach the word of God and to encourage people, among other things. But just the ability to give out a gospel tract, to share a word of encouragement, I wasn't ready, but God placed me there. He brought this other couple there at the right time to be able to give the word of God to that lady. And this is just a really simple tract. It lays out the salvation plan. Why do we need salvation? None are righteous, no, not one. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered the world, and death by sin, sin is passed unto all people. And, the wages of sin is death. And Jesus died, was buried, and rose again the third day for us in our place, to believe in him and to bring salvation to the world. He says that I did not come to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Jesus didn't die so that we would all be judged and thrown into hell. He died so we could have that assurance of heaven. Just thinking about this whole situation, in Matthew 13, Jesus talks about the seed and the field. We don't always know who is in the field. We don't always know what kind of ground, what kind of people we're talking to. This young lady was clearly somebody who was of a wanting of that fertile ground that, with the right nurturing, as long as Satan and the world and weeds don't choke out that seed, I'm confident that if she truly is concerned about her state after death, she will read that tract and understand the gospel. I can't see someone's heart. I know that there are people. I was having a conversation with the guy today, and he, somebody that needs to be saved, but he's just made it clear, like, I've told you before, I don't want to hear that stuff while I'm at work. And I just simply asked, if you don't hear it here, where are you going to hear it? He said, well, I'll hear it if I go to church. I said, well, I'm inviting you to church. Anyway, the people that we meet, we don't know the state of their mind, of their heart. Maybe they are that fertile ground that is going to take that seed. And we know that we aren't responsible for what happens after we present the gospel, the word of God, to people. In 1 Corinthians chapter 3, Paul explains that he planted this seed, and then another came along, Apollos watered, but it's God that gives the increase. We have work to do in the world. We have seed to plant. In Matthew 9, Jesus said, the harvest is great, but the laborers are few. All we can do is plant and water and encourage and pray for people. I can't overstate the importance of prayer. This young lady I've met, I've prayed for her continuously since that day, and I trust that she will accept the gospel. I hope I'm presented an opportunity to come back and to explain more perfectly the way of salvation if she has any questions or whatever. But we just always need to be prepared, and I wasn't that day. Ready always to give an answer for the hope that's in us. And where we can't lose things like tracts is in our minds. We can't replace a personal conversation where we actually show up and care about someone with this. However, it's a great tool. This lady was at work. I didn't want to get her in trouble or cause any problems, with the other coworkers there. But in situations like that, to just be able to give someone something, all of you listening, I hope that you have tracts ready to give out. And I trust that, if it's someone you frequently see, I've given these out at gas stations before, or here at work, and I'll ask somebody, hey, did you read that material I gave you? And a lot of times it's, I didn't have time. But we don't know the state of their hearts, and all we can do is plant that seed. I just hope and pray that those that do hear the gospel receive it as fertile ground, and that seed grows and flourishes. But that's not for me to decide. It's God that gives the increase. So that's what I have. I hope that all of you listening are blessed today with this, and encouraged that, God is still working. He's in every aspect of our life, behind the scenes, greater than we can even fathom, really. We're told that he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. And I'm shocked every time I see that in my own life. But I'm going to end that part of the video here. Last Saturday when I was trying to post a video, I was unable to because of the foolishness of myself, basically. I had hours of footage and hours of editing that went into this video, and in the process of filming my day, my storage got full on the camera, so I had to delete some of that. So I put it all into my editing software, and then I started deleting pieces and segments of the video as I continued to edit. I completed it all later that day. I had some that I lost. I wasn't able to actually film it because the camera stopped. However, when I tried to upload the video back onto my phone, the videos that I deleted wouldn't allow it to go back and forth between the software. I don't know how that all works. It's a learning experience. So essentially, I lost most of the video footage of what I did Saturday, but here's just a few clips, gives you the rough idea of that. I'm going to call it the wood truck. The ranch truck, unfortunately, didn't get much love this weekend, but we'll hopefully change that. But this is what I got done. If I remember right, this is kind of where we left off in the last video. Got the bed off, and here is the new bed. Got a dump box, 8 foot, and as you can see here in this video, it's a little rough, but got it just sitting there right now and figuring out exactly where it needs to be. I don't have the video of it, but you'll see some mounts a little later. It's pretty close to the top of the cab, so thankfully it wasn't any shorter than that, but just kind of, this is the view of the truck before we got much work done to it, and everything fits pretty good on there, so thankful for that. Now we're going to get into the bed liner of the rocker panels and the cab corner I welded in. So that's a new cab corner I got off online, and I can't remember right now exactly where I ended up getting that, but they were decent. Took a little fitment, none of those aftermarket panels are generally real great for fitment, but you see it all done. It looks pretty sharp. I'm no professional body man, but you can see I got the other side done too. And then we moved on to the doors, where quite a bit of rust in that bottom section there that I replaced as much as I could and reasonably made it look okay. It's just a wood truck. It doesn't have to win any competitions, but yeah, kind of roughed it up and got the lines as straight as we could, and there you go. Definitely a step up above the rusty panels that were there, and we had to put on some wider mirrors and got it all ready to go. Got the dump box hooked up, the hoist working, but it's a little sticky. It doesn't come down right now, so it's something I'm gonna have to figure out, but